In this video we will learn how to disassemble 3D models in para3D 4.0 to use it afterwards for the laser cutter. This is a 3D model of my student Michelle Tabarelli of Digitales Entwerfen 1, and she used two different kind of colors to show that she wants to use two different materials, cardboard and perspex, for the laser cutter, and it's always important to have an edit poly modifier on top before you start your disassemble. I just open Power and para3D and I go into Assign Controller, and all these informations I don't need, so I just say no, I don't want to have this kind of information. And here we see that we have our power node, and what we just do is I go into this plus into power and I say I want to apply this disassemble node, and after I opened my node I can just connect this power node with my power node from my 3D model. And the next thing I do is, because I just want to use it for laser cutter, I just unclick this add thickness, and then you can see that all options which you're normally able to use are not possible anymore, but this is actually fine. I just go into disassemble now, and my 3D model is already disassembled. I can just use this select power member and go into my move and select tool, and if I move this I can already see that our disassemble already worked properly. But just move this, I can see that this object is disassembled. But for printing I actually now have to flatten it onto a 2D surface, so I'm able to use it for my laser cutter. What I do is I just zoom out, I go into power node and add a parametric array, which is a really nice new feature, and I just create a reference from this disassemble. Okay, I can also go again into select power member, and I just see that I just copied the whole thing. I just move it to the right, and you just see that this is just a reference of my first disassemble model. The next thing I will do, I will just go into my transform and my new parametric array. I just activate transform and I go into reset transform, and what this actually does, it just flattens all my surfaces in X and Y direction. It just aligns it to my X and Y direction. And what I would like to do is I just would like to position it on a surface. For this I just draw a new plane, and this plane needs certain parameters. First, it has to be big enough that all my pieces fit on each piece fit on one polygon, and the amount of polygons has to fit to the amount of polygons of my object, or actually it just has to be more, so we can really provide them on the surface properly. Okay, I have 10 by 10 segments, so I have 100 objects, and I don't expect that I have more objects, and I just go into a size of 200 by 200 centimeters. And the next thing I have to do, I just have to add, it's really important, an added poly modifier to use this actually as my surface for my 3D object. So what I do is I add a new controller here in my parametric array node. I just drag and drop and enter surface modifier SURV and double click, and this just adds a new surface controller. And in my menu, like select object, I can just select this surface and just go into update, and what we see is already quite nice. We just see that my new 3D model is just provided on this surface. What I can do to see these objects a little bit better, I can just choose my surface now, my surface plane, and just say right mouse click and go into hide selection. And next step I go into my top view and I can see my surfaces properly. If I zoom in, I can see very few mistakes, and these are just some mistakes of my 3D model. And next step we just see how we can optimize it for my export to AutoCAD and actually then to lasercutter. What I can also do is I just organize them in a better way, because I know that my green objects are for cardboard and my blue objects are for perspex, and I can just choose all my green objects and put them together in one row, and then I do the same one with my blue object. And obviously what I also can do, I can just create a new plane with 1 by 1 segments, and I just give this a size of my actually surface in my laser cutter, for example, of 80 by 60 centimeters. And this I just use to organize my objects a little bit more in an ergonomic way, so I don't lose too much surface of my cardboard or whatever kind of material I will use. Okay, now it already fits quite well, and my surfaces are just go in right mouse click and just say object properties by object and see through, so we can see it a little bit better. And there's another nice function. We just remember that there are some lines, which is more or less from constructing is a little bit unprecisely, or I just use pro boolean, and we can see that these polygons are not perfect for laser cutting, because it will just cut through these through the surface. There's a nice function, and this is actually in para my extract wireframe, and for this it's important to be in top view, and I can just open this new wireframe node, and I can just connect the para node again with my disassembled parametric array, and I just go into silhouette. This is really important, and when I go into create shape, it just takes some seconds, and if I now go again into select para member, then I can move this to the left side, and we just can see that out of these polygons it just created spline lines, and you can also see, just because I use this silhouette, that all these mistakes are just gone, and this is a really good packed and spline-based unfolded 3D model for export to a laser cutter. And I just have to select my spline lines, and I can just go into export and just say export selected, and go into AutoCAD DPG, give it a name, export, and go save. I just use something which fits to my AutoCAD version, which I've installed on my computer program, and yeah, and that's it. But what can we do if we really want to have this 3D model disassembled or unfolded, that we also consider about the dimension of our material, for example, like 1 millimeter cardboard? What we can actually do is I just go into my disassemble again, I take add thickness, and I just add the material thickness like 1 millimeters, and with this I can choose different kind of edges, and what I just use is this basic butt joints, or I can just use box joints. I just go into basic butt joints, and I click OK, and we just see what's happening with this kind of model. And the interesting part is, if I just look at my 3D model, I can just go into select para member, I can just move it to the side, and we can just see that it just disassembled the whole thing with a dimension of 1 millimeters. And we can also just see how this 3D model is connected. It's just done with this basic butt joint, and you can change this. Instead of butt joints, you can also go into this box joint, which is a really interesting feature. I go into Disassemble now, and we just see what's happening. Okay, here again, here's my 3D model, and I go into select para member and move it a little bit to the left, and what we can see is that it has really interesting connections, these box joints, which is also really interesting for the laser cutter. And what you actually could also do is you can just go into this label system and just go into add label, and for example extrude it in -0.2 direction, so it's more like a cut. You cut this label inside into this object, and I go into Disassemble now, wait a little bit again, and you can see that it already integrated a label system, which can help at the end of the day when you want to assemble the whole thing and just want to know which kind of surface actually fits together. So if we zoom out a little bit, we can see that it already flattened the whole thing on my surface, and we can also see our label system. So the only thing which is missing, or which we still have to, of course we have to, if you really want to export it, it has to fit on my cardboard sheets, 80 by 60 centimeters. I have to organize this a little bit. But the only thing what we still want to do is we just want to create a wireframe again. We just see what's happening. I go into my T like top mode, that's important, and I go into create shape now, and now we have to wait again. Here we go. I go into select para member and move this in my viewport again to this side, and if I zoom in, you can just see that these connections work properly, and I can also see my numbers, which can actually works quite well when I want to assemble this whole thing at the end of the day. So I have less work in finding the right pieces and fit them together.